Hello everyone, Pallytime here. We are back in Diablo 3 today. I released a Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls video not long ago and it got pretty good feedback. So let's go ahead and let's make some more and see how it goes. As long as you guys keep enjoying this series, I'm going to keep making episodes for it because I am totally encapsulated in Diablo 3 right now. In today's video, it's going to be like a two-parter. This video is going to focus on my Witch Doctor Bear Charger build, which is really fun. Does a ton of AoE damage, does a ton of burst damage as well. And this is what I've been using to farm more or less since I've replaced the pet build. Now, you will see some very sped up footage in one of the corners of the screen. Don't worry, I'm also going to do a playthrough of a bounty run using the same build, so you can get my commentary while I'm playing and get a better idea of how the build works. That's going to be part 2 of this video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the skills. As I mentioned, it is all about the zombie bears. So in order to get that ability, you need Zombie Charger with the Zombie Bear rune. And basically what that does is whenever you spam the ability, it's going to cause zombie bears to erupt out of the ground and stampede over anything in their path. Now, the problem with this ability, it does fantastic damage, it has a pretty substantial range. The problem with the ability is it's very mana costly. So, we have to compensate for that with some of our other abilities. One of those is Spirit Barrage and Well of Souls. Now, why do you use Well of Souls? Because it shoots out more projectiles. It's just simply going to do more damage than the other runes for the ability. Now, if you're looking at the Spirit Barrage runes, you might be seeing the gain 12 mana each time your Spirit Barrage hits rune and wondering, well, why don't you use that? Quite simply, it's not needed with our passive setup. We are using the Rush of Essence passive. Spirit spells return 100 mana over 10 seconds. And of course, Spirit Barrage is a spirit spell. So you could see here in our character list, let me scroll down to mana regen. I have 1200 maximum mana, and right now I have a 76 mana regen per second. That's quite low. Even just spamming Spirit Barrage, I can run out of mana. But look at what happens as I'm casting the ability. The more I cast it, the higher our mana regeneration goes. And you can see my mana is staying pretty full, all the way up to about 300 mana regeneration, and then I can't spend it fast enough. So basically, you want to hit your targets with Spirit Barrage beforehand and get your mana regen up this high, and then wail into them with the zombie bears. Now you can see my mana regen is starting to go down, but because it's so high, I'm barely spending any mana at all with these zombie bears. And when your mana starts to get low, you just start the Spirit Barrages again, and it's a pretty damn good system. I really enjoy playing with it so far, but that is not the end of the build. We have more to talk about. I'm also using the piranhas. Part of the reason for that is I still need the achievement to get like 10 billion things killed under the effects of the piranha buff. I'm up to 3,000. I'm actually progressing pretty fast on that. I know that number isn't 10 million, by the way. But that's one of the reasons I'm using it. The other reason is because Piranha-nado, otherwise known as Sharknado from here on out, is a fantastic ability. So you start out a fight with your Spirit Barrage. Once you get a little bit of mana regen, you drop the Sharknado, and any enemy, well, most enemies, that walk into this area are going to be crowd controlled, and they're going to take 15% increased damage. Now that will suck in an entire area of enemies. So, for instance, a very normal combo you're going to be doing with this build is you build up your mana regen with Spirit Barrage, you CC a bunch of guys, and then just stampede over them with zombie bears. It works incredibly well. So what happens when you find an elite pack? Well, you have some very powerful cooldowns at your disposal. To make your mana regen even better, you have the Big Bad Voodoo with the Rain Dance Glyph. This will give you basically unlimited mana throughout the duration of this ability. You don't have to stack your Spirit Barrage. You simply do not run out of mana while this is active. Fantastic for clearing out hard enemies. Fantastic for clearing out big groups. Really good ability overall. You also gain access to the Fetish Army, and we are using the Legion of Daggers rune. This basically summons a bunch of little minions for you, otherwise known as munchies from here on out. And these munchies will go in and basically tank everything for you and also deal a pretty substantial amount of damage. Now, a fun fact about these munchies, if you get any pieces of armor, which I don't know if I have any right now, I should have looked prior to this, but if you get any pieces of armor that increase your physical damage output, they are classified as physical damage. So, physical damage increases your pet damage, your big damage burst damage. Cold damage would increase your spirit barrage, poison damage would increase your zombie bears. Just keep that in mind. And last but not least, we are using Spirit Walk with the Honored Guest rune, which gives you 20% of your maximum mana, every time you use Spirit Walk. Now, basically, I use this for two different things. The obvious one is, oh shit, I'm about to die, let me Spirit Walk out of the way. Probably the most common reason to use it. The other reason I would use it is if I'm not managing my mana very well at all. Let's say, oh, I get a little bit too overeager with these zombie bears and I run out of mana. It's really easy to just go ahead and Spirit Walk and then start to cast your Spirit Barrages again, just in case your mana got too low to cast them. So basically you use them for both of those reasons. The remainder of the passives, we have Grave Injustice, gain 1% of your maximum life and mana, and reduce the cooldowns of all of your skills by 1 second when an enemy dies within 20 yards. Now 20 yards is not the entire screen, so enemies do have to be relatively close to you. But as you're using your zombie bears to pretty much demolish anything in their path, you are going to be reducing the cooldown on your piranhas, your Big Bad Voodoo, your Fetish Army, and also your Spirit Walk, so you can, get out of danger a little bit more often. And just an overall really, really good ability to have. Keeps your mana high, keeps your cooldowns lowered. And in the same vein as keeping our cooldowns lowered, we also have Tribal Rites, which reduces the cooldowns of your Fetish Army, Big Bad Voodoo, Hex, Gargantuan, Summon Zombie Dogs, and Mass Confusion. We're obviously using these for the Big Bad Voodoo and the Fetish Army. And last but not least, we have Spiritual Attunement, which increases our mana by 10%, and we regenerate 1% of our maximum mana per second. Now, you could probably switch this out to something else, but this is the one that I liked the most in that last slot. See what my damage goes up to with Pierce the Veil, just out of curiosity. We broke 1 million! Oh, yay! As far as my Paragon points go, I did change it up a little bit. I wanted more mana so I could spam more bears. I am level 108 in Paragon, by the way. I know some people will be higher and some people will be lower. This is just what I have done with the points that I am able to allocate. So I increased my mana. Usually I have these points in movement speed so I can move around a little bit easier, but I want to summon as many bears as physically possible. Let me change this back just so you guys don't get confused. Heat Twist is passive. What does that mean? Attack speed is what I prefer to get rather than the crit hits. Because if we look at my damage right now, we have 834. If I switch that out to something else, let's increase my critical hit chance. I should have lower DPS. Yeah, slightly lower, not a big deal. But attack speed seems to be the way to go. It also helps you stack up your mana regen a little bit faster from what I've seen with the Spirit Barrage. Then as we continue to move on, I went with Life Regeneration. My Resist All isn't bad. I'm sitting... Actually, it has decreased significantly. Anyway, I'm sitting at around 70% on most of my resistances. It used to be around 80. I guess I switched out some gear and didn't notice. But Life Regen just seems like the better option for me right now. It's just my personal preference. If you find yourself dying a lot, I would definitely recommend picking up Resist All. And last but not least, in the utility tree, Life on Hit is probably the best way to go, but I've just gone ahead and gotten resource cost reduction, once again with the mentality of spamming more zombie bears out onto the field at one time. So that sums up this part of the video. Like I said, I am going to release a sister video to this one where I'm going through a particular bounty run and just showing off the build in a more live commentary type of way. So if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button below. Leave us a comment down below as well. Stay tuned for that next video, or maybe it's already happened. Who the fuck knows? And if you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe.